Hey, fun fact, but I lived in the United States as a Canadian for a number of years. Oh, please don't hate me for that. And while I've talked about that before, the issues of healthcare, for example, this video is about racism. To say that I experienced culture shock as a white boy from a small city in Ontario, Canada, transplanted into the US is the understatement of the century. I mean, there was only two black families that I knew of in my hometown in Canada. And then I find myself in southern Florida. I wasn't accustomed to seeing so many black people, but I also wasn't prejudiced by the history of racism in the US either. So it was what it was. Not to say that racism didn't exist in Canada or doesn't today, but at the time I was barely 12, so I wasn't exposed to it the way others may have been. But I remember being asked in homeroom practically on day one if I was a redneck. Now, I had no idea what that meant, but I sensed I was going to have to be if I wanted to fit in, so I said I was. And I remember going into a Kmart store, do you remember those stores? And seeing this poster. On it was this grizzled old soldier in a gray uniform proudly hoisting a tattered Confederate flag, and the caption underneath exclaiming, "Save your Confederate money, boys, the South gonna rise again." At the time, from that place of naivety, I just remember thinking it was a cool poster, not understanding its meaning. I saw the Confederate flags for sale too, and I had first seen it on the top of the hood of that classic 1969 Dodge Charger in the show The Dukes of Hazzard. I thought it was cool, the car and the flag. And that's how insidious in some ways that racism, or at least white supremacy, presents itself, isn't it? I mean, there was a primetime, popular TV show about these good old boys from Hazard County, Georgia, Bo and Luke Duke. You couldn't get any more all-American than those two if you planted a fresh baked apple pie on it as a hood ornament on the General Lee. Speaking of which, again, this subconscious perpetuation that General Robert E. Lee was a hero of the South. Anyway, I digress. These images, the flags and statues and culture of the South, all harkened back to a time when black people in America were slaves and reinforced that idealized time for white folks. But then I saw the darker underbelly of racism for the first time. A fight had broken out between a black boy and a white boy, and everyone encircled the two. I was sort of standing off to the side, away from the circle, observing. I'm a lover, not a fighter, and even back then that was true. And all the white kids were chanting. I listened, and it still haunts me to this day. The chant went, "Fight, fight, N-word and the white don't win, we all jump in." And I've thought about that so many times in the 40 plus years since. I was too afraid to object at the time, too scared to stand up. But imagine being in that black boy's shoes, a boy of maybe 12 or 13, oppressed his whole life, undoubtedly in poverty, and realizing that if you don't win the fight, you're going to get the shit kicked out of you anyway. It had to be demoralizing, knowing you were done for either way. And I watched from my seat on the school bus many mornings on the ride to school as white boys hurled slurs and threw rocks at and otherwise picked fights with black kids. Flash forward a decade and a half and I'm heading to Atlanta for a work conference. I'm at one of those highway travel plazas with fast food, and I'm in line at an Arby's to get something to eat. In front of me is a black gentleman. It's his turn to order, and he steps up to the counter. The white female cashier deliberately leans to the side, makes eye contact with me, and says, "Can I help you, sir?" in the politest voice possible. I was dumbfounded, and I paused for a moment before saying back, I think this gentleman was ahead of me. And I point to the black man. Well, she looks, shocked, turns her gaze to him, sneers, and says, "What'll you have?" in just that kind of tone. He orders, pays, and waits. When she brings out his food, she basically hurls it onto his tray and dismisses him. As he turns, he made eye contact with me and he whispers a "thank you." And folks, some of you might be saying, well, that was 30, 40 years ago. Things are way different now. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. Certainly not in the South. But white folks have learned to hide their racism better, depending on the company they're in anyway. It hasn't gone away, it's just gone underground. They still talk about it over a cold beer or a hot meal. But that hate and anger towards black folks it's simmering just underneath the surface and ready to boil over. See this whole America First rhetoric? The ICE raids? It isn't really about American protectionism. It's not about patriotism. Not really. It's just become the outlet for that hatred of anyone who's not white. It's always been acceptable to be patriotic, though, even if it's no longer acceptable to be outwardly racist. I'll bet the chants no longer happen, and you don't see that Confederate flag flying around nearly as much, but they can wave American flags and exclaim their pride for God and country without seeming racist. They'll tell you they have black friends, that they're not racists, that they just love America and want to protect it. But see it for what it is. Racism, pure and simple. It's why too many disenfranchised people in America voted for Trump. He's openly racist and they wish they could be too. They want that old America back. They're saving their Confederate money in preparation for the South rising again. And they're prepared to start a civil war if needs be. Let's hope if they do, it ends the same way it did last time. But don't fool yourself into believing that eventually those old attitudes will change. They continue to pass it down generation to generation like a valuable family treasure. Talk about it over the dinner table, over fried chicken and hominy grits and biscuits with white gravy, meals they abdicated from those black slaves many years ago. The glory days when America wasn't so woke and people weren't so sensitive, telling their children and grandchildren to bide their time. Peace out, and if you're not already following me, you should. It's going to be a ride.
White people waking up to the reality that racism is still in vogue. Racism can never be removed. Racism is what will continue to be eating their system is one beautiful thing for me. Although we've seen countless videos where you see these white folks talking about their experience, how they started becoming racist, how they were taught, how they were brought up, how it was just a whole lot for a lot of them to be able to handle and come to the conclusion that racism is actually not a good game at all. But let's talk about this 21st century or whatsoever century you call it, where you literally see every single thing that this man has seen from the past how many years, over 40 years now, till now, that same kind of thing is still playing. And it is now that a lot of them are now understanding that we do not need to do this. You know, the annoying part is out of 100%, just 70, or what am I saying 70? Just 30% are the ones that are even ready to say, okay, let's make amendment, let's make change, and so on and so forth. But anyways, I'm going to roll out the other clips that I have so that you guys can hear from other white folks as well, listen to their experience, and let me know your honest opinion in the comment section. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And for disclaimers, this is just for educational purpose, not to come here ruffle on your shoulder at all, right? I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you supporting, liking, commenting, sharing my videos. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And yes, with that being said, let's continue watching this video and I'll be back with commentaries. Let's continue watching, guys.
There's one country you cannot pay me to visit again, and it has the worst culture of racism that I have ever experienced in my time abroad. I'm reviewing popular tourist destinations based on things to do and what it's like for Black people and people of color. My first time traveling to Italy was through the NYU Study Abroad program. And when I made this decision, the only thing on my mind was the pizza, the Vespas, the romance, basically the Lizzie McGuire movie, because this is what they showed us on TV. But one thing I didn't realize at the time was that all of these examples of this romanticized image of Italy was told through the lens of white people. You mean the same country Lizzie McGuire was falling in love with is the same country where they were throwing bananas at their first Black minister? Sure is. Oh, but Nicole, that's just a political thing. That doesn't really happen to people. She had bananas thrown at her. I had beer thrown at me. And then I was called a disgusting Black woman by this man right here. Well, obviously you did something. He was unsuccessfully flirting with some white girls in our group, and when he got upset, he started hurling insults at them. Then a Black woman went up and was like, hey, don't talk to women that way, and everyone on the beach just stood there as he manhandled her. So when I went up to defend her, punched him in his arm so he would let her go, he threw beer on us and called us disgusting Black women, even though we had nothing to do with why he was rejected. And I have traveled all up and down that country, and it's not even an isolated incident. Their feelings of disgust are palpable. I've been dramatically avoided on the street, looked down upon as if I'm begging for money instead of asking for direction, ignored by whole adults to the point where I've had to ask children for directions, because adults wouldn't even bother to look my way. And yes, io parlo italiano. Italy's got good food and interesting history, and yes, some Black people go and they just love it. It's great for people who are interested in the arts and beautiful architecture. But based on my own far too common experience, Italy gets a 1 out of 10 for me. If you're interested in learning more about my personal experience in Italy, you can read about it here in the New York Times.
So I'm riding, just minding my business, and a white man pulls up on the side of me at the corner. Now, this has never happened to me before, so I was quite shocked. So he decides to roll his window down and holler out the window, "Nigger." I was appalled. Like, I know in this climate with this new administration that it's really popular to be as racist as you guys was when we were unable to sit at the counter with you. But you guys have got to stop. Y'all gotta stop. Like, for real. This administration has made y'all feel real safe out here doing the things that you're doing. But what if I was a YN? It would have blew your head off. Like, y'all gotta stop. Like, this is not cool. Completely uncool. We bleed the same way you bleed. Y'all gotta stop with the hate and the racism. It ain't cute. Just stop. Please, pause.
Quite literally having the most hilarious experience I've ever had in my whole life with my mom and my sister. We're at the grocery store, and there was this woman, like, literally walking around the grocery store with a paper bag, and she would put it up to her face seemingly anytime a Black person was around. I don't work here. She's like, "Can you bag?" No? Okay. So seemingly anytime a Black person was around, she would, like, put the paper bag up to her face. So then first I was, like, giving her the benefit of the doubt, low-key, like, maybe she's reading her grocery list on a paper bag. But no. So then my mom and my sister come find me in the produce aisle. And my mom's like, "I think that woman is, like, putting a paper bag up not to see Black people." And then the one of the grocery store clerks, he was, like, stocking the produce. He was like, "Excuse me," and he was white. And then we all had, like, a good laugh about it. So then me and my sister, like, walking around the store, like, purposely trying to find this woman to be like. And then I'm looking for my sister, and I walk past her, and the woman is like, and, like, puts her finger up, like, in utter disdain. And I said, "What is your problem?" And then I followed her. Because we could fight. Mom. Is that not the most hilarious thing?
That was very interesting. I haven't seen that in never.
Ever.
Ever.
It was actually comical. Because she should have just put the paper back over her head. That would have been simpler.
And what the white guy?
Yeah,
Oh,
the white guy was like,
her.
he was like, "We should surround her in a circle," like he was one of us.
Right.
Exactly, sir. We should surround her. Hilarious.
In 6th grade, I came back from a trip from the Dominican Republic, and one of the white boys in my class told me that the only thing he hates worse than Black people, I don't remember if he said Black people or Black men, Black boys, I don't know, but the only thing he hates more than Black people is a white girl who hangs out with Black people. Obviously, he said it in a more vulgar way, but that was the gist. 2 years later, in 8th grade, when I started dating my first boyfriend, who was Black and white, he told me I was a dirty highlighter. Obviously, I didn't know what that means. I'm not used to the KKK rhetoric. So I was like, what? And he told me that it's because when a yellow highlighter writes over something black, the black kind of stays on it, you know? And then no one wants to use it again. It's dirty. So he was saying that basically after dating my boyfriend, none of the white people would ever want me again. And that I was like, he called me tainted. That's the word that he used. I was tainted. Obviously, other people have made comments as well over the years, but I just remember that one boy specifically because I went to all my years of middle school with him, and it was constant. Like a constant, what does that sound? Aggravating, degrading sound, something like that, in my ear all the time about me being friends with or talking to Black people. I'm bringing all this up because a lot of my TikTok comments yesterday were racist for some reason, even though the video had nothing to do with race. But just for everyone that is always like, oh, it's 2025, we need to move past that, we need to move on, not focus on it. It's still happening today. Ask any black person, any person of color, they've experienced discrimination probably on like a near daily basis, especially if they post on social media. Even white people who are just, you know, friends with people of color or have dated people of color, like I have been called crazy names. That's what was happening yesterday. I was getting called all kinds of craziness, and it's constant. Like, it didn't stop in 8th grade. It continued into high school, continues now, happened yesterday. So it's just like, it is not done. Like, there's still so many hateful people that exist and are working jobs, are probably serving, well, we know, are serving in public roles, and they're working in public facing jobs. There are politicians, they're the people at the food stamps office, they're the people who are teaching children. Like, it's not like these people are just limited to faceless internet bots. Like, these are real people who work around and with people of color. So it's just like, there's like, sometimes, you know, you think we're making progress. I'm literally shaking because this is so upsetting. But it's like, you think we're making progress, and then you get reminded that these people exist and are interacting with black children, are interacting with black people every day. And I don't know, it's just like, you would think that we would be past that, but evidently not.
People know more about white people, like years, decades even, to unpick and unravel it. If you want to join me on my journey, please drop me a follow. I've just had to restart my channel here on TikTok, and I would love to be joined by as many passionate anti-racists as possible. It's only by talking about racism, by taking it apart and understanding it in its entirety, that we can ever have any hope of moving past it.
So I just wanted to share an experience that I had today in Terrace at Save On Foods. So in Terrace, British Columbia, I went to Save On Foods, and I went to Save On Foods to get some strawberries and some chicken, and I was standing in line. It was my turn to put all my stuff on the belt, so I put all my stuff on the belt, and I was kind of waiting, and the guy, you know, was like, do you have a Save On card? And so I was giving him my phone number, and I look over, and there's this little old man kind of standing there next to me. He smiled. Hi. You know. Went back to getting my groceries, and he says something to me, the little old man, after I smiled at him and said hello. That's just how I am, though. I'll smile, I'll say hello, I'll be really polite to people, just in general. And he said something to me, and I said, sorry, what was that? Were you talking to me? And he goes, oh, so many fucking natives in town today. Must be native payday or something. And I was like, sorry, what? What did you just say? He goes, oh, so many fucking natives in town today. Must be native payday or something. But this time he didn't laugh. And that's, I think, truly because he knew that what he was saying was racist and unappreciated by his audience, which was me and a couple other people standing behind me who were native. And then there was like some Indian people around. And then, so I looked at him and I said, what's native payday? And I don't appreciate that comment. I'm Indigenous. I'm Gitsan Teltan, which means I'm native. And I said, it's not my payday today. I didn't get paid. And so I don't know what native payday you're referencing, but just so you know, we don't get free money from the government. That's a lie. I said, we don't get anything free. Actually, we work like the rest of Canada, all the non-natives. And is it white people's payday today? And he was just like, no, our payday's next week. Ha ha ha. He's like, I didn't mean to offend you. And I said, well, what did you mean to do? Because I don't think that what you said was necessary, and I don't think what you said was kind, and it definitely wasn't true. So what did you mean? What did you mean? What was your intention behind that comment? And he stood there and he just kind of froze and looked at me, and he he didn't say anything. And I said, well, just so you know, I don't appreciate that comment. And I was speaking quite loudly. I was like, I don't appreciate that comment. And I would hope that you think before you speak again, and before you make any kind of racist remarks like that again. I would hope that you would think about it and say what you're going to say in your head first, and then think, is that necessary? Is it kind? Is it true? Do I have to say that? Is it sound racist? Because if it sounds racist, maybe you shouldn't be saying it. And you thought that I was white? You didn't think that I was Native because my skin is light? I said, but I'm a proud Indigenous woman, and I won't stand here and allow you to degrade my people like that, or anyone, or any race, or anything. So I would just appreciate it if you thought before you spoke, and let this today, and me, and my words, and what I'm saying now be a lesson to you. Because you thought I was just going to join in and laugh and think it was funny and probably make a racist remark back, but that's not what happened, because I'm Native. And you made a joke, a racist joke about Natives, or you made a remark, a racist remark. And he goes, I did not mean to offend you, ma'am. Well, what did you mean to do with that comment? Make me laugh? He didn't say much. I just said, have a blessed day. God bless you, sir. Take care. I hope the next time you open your mouth to make a racist comment, you think twice, and then you don't make the racist comment. And then I just paid for my stuff. I paid for my stuff, and he was mumbling things, and I just said, what you said was racist. I don't know what your intention was behind it, but it was racist. And I didn't appreciate it, and I don't think a lot of other Natives would appreciate it if they heard you either. And not a lot of other Natives are going to be nice to you and teach you that that was a racist remark. So anyways, I just wanted to share that because that's the first time in a little while that I have experienced racism. Maybe it wasn't directed towards me, but it sure was directed towards Natives. And he sure did think I was going to join in and laugh around about it and be racist as well. And so, you know, it just kind of leads me to think that maybe he says things like that in shopping lines, and then it's reciprocated and looked at and treated as small talk, when it's just actually racism and hate speech, almost you could categorize it as. And when you say it like that, it's not so funny.
Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for tuning back. Racism is absolutely an expensive game. Racism is absolutely what I do not wish any single person to even involve themselves into. You know, one thing I see them justify themselves with is black people can be racist too. You know, sorry guys, it has become like a gist of the day of them coming plainly to be like, oh, black people can be racist too, so why can't I be racist? I've literally seen a woman that will literally tell you that she is the #1 Karen of America, that at the end of the day, every single person that tried her will literally see her other parts of she being a racist. And this is actually not just happening in the US. It also happens in different countries where we have all of these mixed races, where these people can literally come out face to face in workplace, societies, neighborhood, and tell you exactly that you do not belong here. We've seen countless videos also happening in South Africa that is meant to be a predominantly black country that now have a mixed race, and their experience is quite horrible. But it is actually a good thing, or a bit good news, that we see some of these white folks trying to repent, trying to change, trying to understand that this life they have actually built for themselves, it is not even supposed to, and there is no gain towards that. But it is also more sweet to see them coming up to talk about it, to also explain or share how they actually felt, either in relationship, either in them staying in a gathering with their fellow black people, and seeing their fellow whites telling them that you literally do not have any other chance again for the fact that you are already staying with. It's just a whole lot that comes with blackness. Sometimes these people want to use this racism to make it look like black people are the problem. And that is why for a lot of people that keep saying, oh, do not talk about racism again. Racism is a thing of the past. Racism do not really exist anymore. Racism can actually be coming from the black person or from the white person. I really do not agree with that, because honestly, if there is any single person that I've seen hell when it comes to this racism thing, is black people, especially black Americans. I can tell you for a whole fact that it looked like American itself created a particular stigma for every single person that is white to be racist. So it only takes the grace of God for you to be able to change. Just like this morning, the video that I posted earlier, where you literally see this white woman coming face to face with this black guy, telling this black guy that this black guy came through her rooftop when they were sleeping at the middle of the night, and then the guy took her important document, took her computer. She was just accusing him of a whole lot. I'm looking at this woman is a full version of a racist. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So black Americans have been able to experience a lot from east, west, north, and south, even coming from immigrants. So honestly, I appreciate some of these white folks that are taking their time to explain what racism is all about, coming to their realization, knowing that it's actually not worth it, and literally they need to desist from it. But I'll leave you to leave me your thoughts in the comment section. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode, and let me know what is your honest opinion. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, joining my membership, and dropping super thanks. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best, and thank you so much for staying stick and hook with me to the end of this video. And yes guys, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys, I love you guys. Mwah.